is Lynn. I have had a 4.5 year long journey of trying to have my son. I've been able to get pregnant, but I haven't been able to hold on to the pregnancy. I did IVF. We were successful to a point where we got a heartbeat, but it wasn't very strong, and unfortunately that ended up in miscarriage. So I've had 3 miscarriages, and I've had gaps in between where I haven't been able to get pregnant. I was told that I had a low ovarian reserve, and so this has started me on my journey. So if anybody is listening to this and they think that things just, you know, we're just lucky, things just worked out, yes, it did, but also there were steps that I did do differently in this pregnancy that I hadn't done in the others. So the steps that I've done, without further ado, I'm just going to get into it. The number one thing is check your thyroid. Even if you know that you have a thyroid issue, if you are going to your GP, remember GP stands for general practitioner, which means they have a general knowledge of everything, and then according to how they feel about things, they may or may not send you on to a specialist. I would insist on being sent to an endocrinologist because they specialize in this area, and it's very complex, and you just need somebody specifically looking after those needs. Because if you have low ovarian reserve, chances are you do have a thyroid issue, and generally if you have a thyroid issue, you also have an autoimmune disorder that sometimes you may not even be aware of. I've written up a graph, but I'm just aware that basically I'm filming this on my phone, so it might be backwards. TSH levels are between 0.4 to 4.0. If you are over 4.0, you have an underactive thyroid. If it's above 4.0, if you're under 0.4, you have overactive thyroid, and you need medication. But just to be aware, your GP will see that you are in the normal range and they might not give you medication, where an endocrinologist's job is to get you at the optimum range, and so therefore they'll be getting you somewhere in the middle as opposed to just within the normal range. And it's very important that you know those numbers yourself and that you try and get your body optimum as opposed to just normal. And the other thing is, when you do get pregnant, sometimes you can be in the normal range and it can push you because of hormones outside of the normal range. So you need somebody to say to you, as soon as you get pregnant, you're going to take an extra 50 ml of L-toxin, which is what happened to me. L-toxin, it's vital that you are taking that at the right time, meaning that it's on an empty stomach. So I would always leave these tablets by my bedside cabinet, and first thing in the morning I would take it. It says you have to have it at least a half an hour before you eat anything. When I was trying to get pregnant and when I got pregnant, I made sure to wait a whole hour. I didn't wait just a half an hour. I did a whole hour just to make sure that my body was actually absorbing this correctly, because everybody's body is different. Secondly, and more importantly, a couple of times people had said this book to me, which is It Starts With the Egg by Rebecca Fett, and it's all basically about your environment. So the backstory to Rebecca is that when she was in her 20s, she was diagnosed with low ovarian reserve, which is unusual for somebody in their 20s, but she was also studying biology at the time, and within that area she did a lot of research into fertility and how environments are affected, because like obviously people's jobs are way more stressful, you're eating not great, everything is kind of fast food or it's wrapped in plastic, and there's a whole host of things in here that I would definitely advise you getting and reading. I ordered the audiobook because I wanted to be relaxed listening to it, and I wanted to listen to the whole thing from start to finish and not just go through the chapters that I thought were applicable to me. And the reason for that is I need to understand the science. I didn't want to just think that it was just going to be, you know, if someone says, oh, do this, I'm so sick of doctors telling me what to do, what not to do. I need to understand why, what's the reasoning behind it. And so to have an overall view of fertility, and it doesn't even matter if you're struggling with fertility or not, you really should be getting this book if you're hoping to get pregnant. Rebecca breaks everything down. It's really interesting, and I would advise listening to it, which is what I did. And I just kind of chilled out listening to it on my hammock out the back, while I was taking it all in a relaxed state. And then I would use my hard copy to go back and kind of refer back to stuff, because sometimes they'll say words that perhaps maybe you're not familiar with, or that you won't know how to spell, or you'll just need to look something up to say, okay, I need to get that. And so I would get the hard copy book as well. So that's that. It Starts With the Egg by Rebecca Fett. The other one, she also has It Starts With the Egg Fertility Cookbook, which is predominantly based around a Mediterranean diet. She has lots of recipes in here. I use some of them. I followed this. This is what I did. You might be somebody who is eye rolling at the moment. I also was eye rolling when somebody said to me my environment could affect my fertility. I didn't believe it until I did it. And the reason why I did it is because it was the only thing I could actually physically control. I could control my own environment and I could control myself. And then after that, I really didn't have anything else to do. In Ireland, you have to have 3 recurrent miscarriages before you be sent to the miscarriage unit. I wanted to be sent there because I was tired of all the fertility stuff and I wanted to try and do things more naturally. They had kind of said to me that it looked like as though I might not be ovulating anymore and I needed a bit of help. It was very stressful because I knew time was running out and I was starting to panic. They put me on a drug called, I think it was Lestrol. If I can find it, I'll put it up. It's similar to Clomid, but it's to help ovulation. And they were giving me 3 chances to do that, and then after that they said I would have to go see another specialist. Sorry, my camera died. So anyways, the reason why I was telling you that is I want you to know what we did in order to get this result. So we were on that, but at the time I got pregnant I was on nothing because they had said to me that it didn't look like it was though it was going to work for me. So I had about like a few weeks after that on absolutely nothing, no tablets from her. So what we did do prior to that is I was on a drug called CoQ10. I will insert a picture of it here. You're supposed to be on that about maybe 3 to 6 months beforehand. It's good for egg quality and helping your follicle count. Also on vitamin B complex. I was also on vitamin D3. This one, the soft shell, is very important because it helps with absorption. I was also taking multivitamins for fertility, just a general fertility. And the other thing that it says in the book and that had been said to me before, that if you have a thyroid issue, generally have an autoimmune disorder, and if you have that, then you have difficulty consuming folic acid because it's synthetic, so you need it more in the natural state, folate. This is the brand that we use. You don't have to use this brand, but this is the number one thing that I would say I really do think this had a huge impact, because I just obviously was not absorbing folic acid the way that I should. We did do things that were very different in this pregnancy that we hadn't done before. I also exercised. I would make sure that I was, doing rowing. I couldn't really do a long extended periods of time, but I would do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. I would go out for walks and I would sit out and I would try and meditate and I would try and live as much of a relaxed attitude as possible. And I also made sure that, like, when it came to work, I really decided to take a step back from that, and I decided I wasn't going to take on anything that was too stressful. Like, this was more important to me, so that's something to bear in mind too. And that's it for this video. So hopefully you found it really beneficial, and if you did, do give me a like and a subscribe, and I'll do more videos in the future. Thanks a million for watching. See you next time.